Hi everyone, it's Todd. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're gonna be chatting about how I have been getting the Chappell Roan treatment, if I do say so myself. If you're not aware, lately the famous singer Chappell Roan has been getting a lot of hate. People have been getting mad at her for being direct, standing up for herself, and wanting privacy and space. People have been calling her rude, ungrateful, the B word. It's been pretty bad. And sadly, this is what happens when women stand up for ourselves. As a disabled creator with a social media presence, there is, of course, some discourse about me in my own comment sections. That's very much to be expected. And I've observed that the discourse surrounding Chappell Roan is very similar to the discourse in my comment sections surrounding me and my guidelines. So if you've followed me for like a little over a year, or if you've seen my videos within about the last year, you may have noticed that I have guidelines for my comment section on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram. I started putting guidelines on my YouTube first within around the last year or so, and that's because YouTube actually has this guidelines feature for creators to utilize. I was editing my channel and I saw this feature that said channel guidelines, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. And I saw that it was this feature that allows you to add up to 3 guidelines for your comment section that viewers must read and acknowledge before they can leave a comment. And I was like, that is so cool. I'm gonna do that. Obviously, it doesn't prevent people from breaking the guidelines, but it is meant to foster a more positive environment. So I think it's great that YouTube has this feature. This is the page that YouTube has explaining the guidelines. So it says, channel guidelines communicate the types of conversations you want to have on your channel. Viewers will find your channel guidelines before leaving a comment on your video, a post on your community, or during your live chat. To get started, tells you how to do it. Your custom guidelines won't cause comments, posts, or live chat messages to be automatically hidden or removed. They'll instead help you set expectations for viewer interactions that may get held by you or your channel moderators. While YouTube won't automatically enforce any of your custom guidelines, we will continue to automatically enforce our community guidelines. So yeah, super cool. Whoever came up with this idea definitely was thinking about creators' mental health, I feel like, because comment sections can become pretty awful, especially if they're unregulated. And content creation is supposed to be fun for everybody involved. It's supposed to be fun for the person doing the content creation as well as the viewers, not just the viewers. So I feel like this feature is a really great step in the right direction for protecting creators' mental health. And these are my 3 guidelines. 1, do not ask what my disability is. I have videos about it. 2, please do not offer me unsolicited advice. And 3, please do not call me Sarah. My name is Sarah Todd or ST. So each guideline has a reason behind it. We will get into that in a minute. I wanna go next and read you my Instagram guidelines because I got the idea to start pasting guidelines in my comment section on all my Instagram videos and then pin the guidelines at the top of the comment section. And since I have more characters in an Instagram comment versus the YouTube guidelines section, I made a few changes. So this is what I started with on Instagram. It said, welcome, thank you for being here. Please read my guidelines before commenting. 1, do not ask what my disability is. I have videos on that. 2, do not offer me unsolicited advice, even in the form of a question, such as, have you tried X? 3, do not ask me questions about treatment I have or could seek for my paralysis. And 4, do not call me Sarah. My name is Sarah Todd or ST. So I added the guideline about treatment that I could seek for my paralysis because I noticed a lot of people were insinuating that I could recover from my paralysis if I just ate a certain way or did physical therapy or lifted weights or literally cleaned tables. Like somebody suggested doing cleaning exercises would help me regain movement. So I added that guideline, but I have since updated my guidelines on Instagram to read as less direct and a bit more sweet because people were giving me the Chappell Roan treatment. They were saying that I was rude. They were saying that I was a B word, that I am ungrateful because, you know, it's a privilege to have a platform like I have, blah, blah, blah. So I updated get them to say, welcome, thank you for being here. Please read my guidelines before commenting. 1, please do not ask what my disability is. If you're curious, I have a video about it pinned on my page. 2, please do not offer me unsolicited advice. I know my access needs and barriers best. Smiley face. 3, please do not call me Sarah. My name is Sarah Todd or ST. It's a double name, kind of like Mary Kate. So those are my current guidelines on Instagram, and they're pretty similar on my YouTube channel. I just have fewer characters on YouTube, so they're shorter. So the first guideline that I have, to not ask me what my disability is. Why do I have that guideline? Well, that is a question I get on almost every video that I post, and I have talked extensively about my condition, what happened to me when I was 8 years old that caused me to become paralyzed. I have a lot of videos about it. I have a lot of short videos about it, but I also have some long form videos about it on YouTube. And I have my disability story pinned on my TikTok, on my Instagram Reels, and I have it organized in playlists on YouTube. So that story is very easy to find if anybody's curious. It is also a very long and complicated story and not very well explained in a comment reply to somebody. I could always explain that I have acute flaccid myelitis and that it's a spinal cord injury, but most people won't understand either of those things. So it's best if people are curious about what my disability is to watch one of the videos. And the short videos are only like a minute or 2 minutes long, so they can get an answer pretty quickly. And I feel like if people are curious enough about something, then they will put in the effort to find the answer, especially when the answer is very easy to find on all of my platforms. I also don't think that any disabled person owes anybody their medical info. I obviously am putting myself out there on social media, but I share what I want to share. I do have limits to what I share. I personally am comfortable sharing my diagnosis and sharing my disability story, but not every disabled creator is. I follow some disabled creators who have never shared their diagnosis or their disability story, and that is their prerogative. They do not have to share those things because it's not actually always even relevant to their content, even if their content revolves around disability advocacy and their disability. So that's why I have that first guideline. The second guideline about not wanting unsolicited advice. I have a long form video on my YouTube that explains why I don't want unsolicited advice in depth. I will link it to this video if y'all are interested. But the short answer is that I know my body access needs and preferences better than anybody else, especially strangers on the internet. I feel like I have scripted that explanation now because I've said that to so many people now when they ask why I don't want advice. Most of the advice that I receive pertains to things that I have already tried. It is often incredibly obvious advice, and it often doesn't work for me, and it can come across very condescending. I go way in depth in that topic in the long form YouTube video, so if you're interested in that conversation, I definitely recommend that video. I am very proud of how I explain that whole topic because it is very complex and it's tricky because a lot of people who leave advice mean well, so it is always tough to discuss like well-intentioned ableism, but it's still important to discuss. So that's the explanation behind guideline number 2. The explanation behind guideline number 3, to not call me Sarah, that my name is Sarah Todd or ST, is just quite literally that my name is not Sarah. My name is Sarah Todd, or ST for a nickname. So it's a double name, just like Mary Kate. Everybody knows Mary Kate Olsen, the famous actress. Her name is Mary Kate, not Mary. So just like Mary Kate, my name is Sarah Todd, not Sarah. My parents gave me this name knowing I would never go by just Sarah. I've never gone by just Sarah in my entire 24 years of living. It's not my name. I always go by Sarah Todd or ST. I think ST is cuter. I like that a little bit better, but either is fine with me. It took me a while to love my name, but I do love my name now. And it is special because Todd is a family name. So that's where that comes from. So yeah, I think that I deserve to be called by my name. I think it's as simple as that every person deserves to be called by their name or whatever they wish to be called. So that's the story behind each of the guidelines. Like I said, I updated them to read as a bit more sweet. And even with doing that, I still get a lot of backlash about my guidelines. So let's read some examples because people have gotten very offended by my guidelines. And I think that my updating my guidelines to be sweeter and still receiving backlash about them really just proves that women can never win, that we will always be tone policed while men can pretty much do and say whatever they want with minimal to no consequences. So let's get right on into reading these responses. All right, this one is a lot. This person was very upset. They said, I was originally really interested in learning more about you and watching your videos, but seeing a long list of rules dictating how other human beings are allowed to interact with you completely turned me off. Laughing face emoji. Girl, your head is a little too big for all that. There's a big difference between having boundaries and treating normal, good faith human interaction like an offense. This doesn't feel protective. It just feels weird and controlling, and like you're trying way too hard to be someone's boss, lol. That's not real life, and watching well-intentioned people get snapped at in the comments is a red flag for me. I'm all about boundaries, but this gives controlling friend energy, so I'm out. Remember, you are blessed to have a platform like this, so act like it. There are literally thousands of other people that have hand/arm disabilities I can follow who don't act like a 5-year-old brat. Quite the comment. I think my guidelines are extremely reasonable for all of the reasons I listed a few moments ago. As a disabled woman, there are a lot of interactions I have on my page that other creators may not, because they're not a woman or they're not disabled, and I deserve to try to protect myself from that in some way. And yes, some of the people who comment asking what my disability is, or who comment advice, or who call me Sarah, are well-intentioned, and I do often gently correct people. If somebody comments advice, I will usually say, I request no advice, please, and I put a smiley face. I'll sometimes just say, no advice, please. Or I'll say, this is why I don't want advice. That solution doesn't work for me. Or if somebody calls me Sarah, and the rest of their comment is very nice, I'll often respond to the actual comment and then say, by the way, just so you know, I go by Sarah Todd or ST, and I usually add a smiley face. So I'm always gently correcting people if there are well-intentioned comments that don't meet my guidelines. But yeah, that person got very offended. Okay, this person went on 3 of my videos and left comments. They said, okay, Sarah, we use first name when talking. Well, Sarah isn't my first name. And then I think this one, they're replying to a nice comment somebody left, and they said, delete your comment. I think she's snobby. Treat her like you would a normally abled snob. And then on the video where I'm explaining that my name is Sarah Todd and not Sarah, they said, add 5 more words. And then on my video where I'm talking about why I don't want advice, this person said, it's why you are going viral, FYI, people commenting whatever they want. Calm down, a lot of entitlement. A lot of people say, like, don't you want the comments for engagement anyway? And I'm like, no, because I don't need the comments for engagement. My videos often get a lot of views, a lot of comments from very kind, wonderful people who I love chatting with in the comments. So I don't need the people breaking my guidelines for engagement. I don't need it, and I don't want it. This person says, with all due respect, with that list of rules, maybe you should take a break from social media. We ask questions because we're curious about things we don't understand. Putting your life on the internet maybe doesn't seem like a good fit for you. Smiley face. Putting your life out on the internet or being famous like Chappell Roan doesn't mean that you just have to automatically accept every kind of absurd, ridiculous behavior that people want to throw your way. That's not okay. That is not how it should work. A lot of people think that's how it should work, but I think what Chappell Roan is doing with talking about her boundaries is so groundbreaking because people don't really talk about this. So she's kind of breaking the mold, and things need to change. People shouldn't feel entitled to just treat people however the heck they want just because you're putting yourself out there. This person also says that they ask questions because they're curious. I totally understand that. But if they're asking what my disability is, I've already answered that question, and I don't want to answer it over and over and over. And if they truly want an answer, their answer is out there for them, very easy to find. This one says, Sarah is your first name. Your name is literally Sarah. How are people so bold to tell somebody else what that person's name is? I promise I know what my name is. And I really think that calling somebody by their name is like the most basic form of respect. It is like bare minimum respect, in my opinion. This one is so funny. Okay, this person said, great videos, Sarah. Glad you don't get unreasonably upset by being addressed by your actual name. Also glad you don't tie your identity to being married. Clearly you lash out on those who don't, quote, honor the last name that finally made you feel like a woman by a man, clown emoji. So this person assumes I'm married. I'm not. I have never been married. And I think they thought that Todd is my hypothetical fictional husband's last name, and that I want to go by Sarah Todd because I want to go by my husband's last name. but then I don't know what they're assuming the hammer part of my username is, like if I just threw that in there for fun, because Hammer is my last name. So this comment is just so confusing. I don't know where they got any of that from, to be honest. This person says, don't post if you are going to try to control the world of what they do or say. The thing is, I know that I can't control what people comment on my page, but I can set expectations for what I think people shouldn't comment on my page. There are plenty of things that people can comment that don't break the guidelines. And I know that because I have lovely commenters in my comment section every day, not breaking my guidelines. And I think that content creators and celebrities like Chappell should be allowed to exist and share our work with people without just accepting that people are going to treat us badly. Wanting to share your work with people should not mean you're automatically consenting to being treated horribly by strangers on the internet. This one says, is this rage bait? I mean, you can't expect to post publicly on social media to the entire world and control the narrative, questions, and discussion, LOL. If you feel the need to be, quote, private about your life, then post privately to a controlled group of people who know you and your, quote, rules, shrug emoji. It definitely isn't rage bait, but this person definitely felt some rage because of my guidelines. And as I keep saying, I'm allowed to have regulations for the comment sections on my own social media. It's my page, so my rules, in my opinion. This last comment says, there are no guidelines, yours or otherwise. There actually are community guidelines set by the social media app, so those must be followed in order to use the app. And then there are my guidelines. Like I've said, they're not really enforceable, but it is just a nice way to try to set the tone for my comment sections. See, I definitely receive negative comments about my guidelines like at least once a day. These were just examples that I felt like demonstrated the issue pretty broadly. And it's really interesting to me that people get so upset by my guidelines, because having guidelines is something YouTube literally encourages people to do by having that feature as an option. So one of the biggest social media platforms, YouTube, has this feature, and people are acting like me utilizing that feature on YouTube and then bringing it over to Instagram is some like wild, weird, absurd thing. My guidelines are pretty basic requests, as I've said throughout this video, and I feel like the reasons people would be annoyed by them are they want to disobey the guidelines, or they just don't like seeing women stand up for themselves. But I don't really understand why they would find it so annoying. I would love to see more creators have guidelines. I think it's very necessary because a lot of creators are treated horribly by strangers on the internet. So I would love to see this become a more common thing. So hopefully it will be. People are allowed to moderate their own social media channels. So I personally love modeling confident, unapologetic, no nonsense behavior. And I would love to see more creators doing that as well, because I've seen creators post some things and put a pinned comment up saying, I'm not looking for advice. And I've seen other creators talk in videos about how they're tired of getting unsolicited health advice. So it's definitely a problem, and I'm not the only one who experiences it. So hopefully more creators will implement guidelines, because I think it is a fabulous feature and a really cool way to set the tone for comment sections on social media. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you to all of those who love and respect my guidelines. It really means a lot that I am able to still have very positive comment sections for the most part, with just a few people not being the kindest or getting angry with my guidelines. So all of you who leave such kind comments, I really appreciate your support, and I always try really hard to reply to your comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I post a long form YouTube video every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, and I hope to see you all at my next video. Bye everyone.